The house stood proudly on a tree-lined street, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. It was the picture of suburban bliss. Inside, Sarah hummed along to the radio, preparing dinner. Her two beautiful children played happily in the next room. Soon, her husband Mark would be home from work, his briefcase in hand and a tired smile on his face. To the outside world, Sarah lived a charmed life. She had a loving husband, healthy children, and a comfortable home. Her days were filled with carpools, grocery shopping, and playdates. She was living the dream, or so everyone thought. But behind the facade of the perfect wife and mother, Sarah was drowning. Each day felt like an endless cycle of chores and obligations. Sarah yearned for something more, a sense of purpose beyond the four walls of her home. She longed for adult conversation that didn't revolve around laundry detergent or the latest cartoon. Her dreams and aspirations, once vibrant and clear, now felt like faded photographs tucked away in a dusty album. Sarah loved her children fiercely, there was no doubt about that. But motherhood had consumed her identity, leaving her feeling lost and untethered. Her days were filled with the needs of others, leaving little room for her own. The silence of her own thoughts was deafening, yet she didn't dare speak her truth. The life Sarah lived was not the one she had envisioned for herself. Before children, she had dreams of a career, of traveling the world, of making a difference. But somewhere along the way, those dreams had been shelved, replaced by the demands of family life. She felt trapped, not by her husband or children, but by societal expectations. The pressure to be the perfect wife and mother, to have it all together, weighed heavily on her. Sarah felt like a failure for even admitting her unhappiness. After all, wasn't this what she had always wanted? A family of her own. The financial dependence on her husband was another invisible chain that bound her. The thought of asking for money to buy new clothes or indulge in a hobby filled her with guilt and shame. She was financially dependent, her life revolving around budgets and allowances. The isolation was suffocating. Sarah longed for connection, for someone to see beyond her role as a mother and wife. She craved conversations that challenged her mind, that reminded her of the intelligent, capable woman she knew she still was. But those conversations seemed to exist in a different world, a world she no longer belonged to. The silence within Sarah grew heavier with each passing day. Shame kept her from confiding in her friends. They wouldn't understand, she told herself. They loved their roles as mothers, embraced domesticity with open arms. To admit her own struggles felt like a betrayal. She loved her husband dearly. He was a good man, a good provider, and a loving father. But their conversations had become predictable, their emotional connections strained. Sarah yearned for intimacy, for someone to truly see her, to acknowledge the turmoil beneath the surface. The fear of judgment kept her silent. What would people think if she complained about her life? She had everything she had ever wanted, a loving family, a beautiful home. Wasn't that enough? Society told her it should be, and so, she buried her feelings deep inside, pretending to be content, playing the role of the happy housewife. The weight of her unspoken words pressed down on her, stealing her joy, her energy, her very essence. Sarah felt like a ghost, haunting the halls of her own life. She was living a lie, not just to the world, but also to herself. Deep down, Sarah knew she deserved more. Not more things, but more fulfillment, more purpose, more life. She yearned to rediscover herself. The woman she had been before motherhood had become her sole identity. The woman with dreams, with passions, with a voice. She craved intellectual stimulation, the challenge of a career, the satisfaction of using her skills and talents. The thought of returning to work, of contributing financially and intellectually, filled her with a mix of excitement and fear. Sarah daydreamed about pursuing her love for writing, of seeing her name in print. She imagined herself as a successful author, her words touching the lives of others. But these dreams felt so far removed from her current reality, like stars twinkling in a distant galaxy. The longing for more gnawed at her, a constant reminder of the life she wasn't living. She knew she couldn't continue down this path, pretending to be content. Something had to change. But what? And how could she possibly create a different life without shattering the perfect picture she had so carefully constructed? Fear was a powerful force in Sarah's life. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. It kept her tethered to her current reality, even though it was slowly suffocating her spirit. The fear whispered doubts in her ear, reminding her of all the things that could go wrong if she dared to change. What if she tried to return to work and failed? What if her writing was rejected, her dreams laughed at? Fear painted vivid pictures of disaster, of disappointing her family, of becoming a burden rather than a contributor. The fear of rocking the boat, of disrupting the family's equilibrium, kept her paralyzed. She worried about the impact on her children, on her husband. What if they resented her for wanting more? What if her need for self-discovery was perceived as selfishness? The fear was a constant companion, whispering doubts, amplifying insecurities, and keeping her trapped in a cage of her own making. It told her to stay silent, to accept her fate, but deep down, a tiny voice urged her to fight back, to break free from its grip. One day, while browsing in a bookstore, Sarah stumbled upon a memoir written by a woman who had been in a similar situation. The author described her own journey of self-discovery, her struggle to balance motherhood with her own aspirations. As Sarah devoured the pages, she felt a glimmer of hope ignite within her. For the first time, she realized she wasn't alone. There were other women out there who understood her struggles, who had felt the same sense of isolation and longing. The author's words were like a lifeline, pulling Sarah back from the brink of despair. Inspired by the book, Sarah decided to take a small step. She signed up for a writing class, a step towards reclaiming a piece of herself. The class met once a week, offering a much-needed respite from the demands of home. Surrounded by other aspiring writers, Sarah felt a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she was missing. Sharing her work, hearing other people's stories, filled her with a renewed sense of purpose. It was a small act of rebellion, a declaration that her voice mattered, that her dreams were worth pursuing. The writing class was just the beginning. Emboldened by her newfound courage, Sarah started setting aside small pockets of time for herself. She joined a gym, started meditating, and made an effort to reconnect with old friends. She began to communicate more openly with her husband, sharing her feelings and aspirations. It wasn't easy at first, but Mark, to his credit, listened. He saw the spark returning to his wife's eyes, the woman he had fallen in love with all those years ago. Together, they worked out a plan for Sarah to pursue her writing career. It wasn't about abandoning her family. It was about finding a way to be both a mother and an individual, to nurture her own needs alongside those of her loved ones. Breaking free from the confines of her self-imposed prison was a gradual process, filled with setbacks and moments of doubt. But with each step forward, Sarah felt her confidence grow, her voice becoming stronger. She was no longer content to be trapped in silence. Sarah's story is not unique. There are countless women like her, trapped in lives that look perfect from the outside, but are slowly eroding their souls. Women who have sacrificed their own dreams for the sake of their families, who feel lost in the sea of motherhood, their voices silenced by societal expectations and their own fears. To those women, Sarah's message is clear. You are not alone. It's okay to not be okay, to admit that you're struggling, to crave something more. Your dreams are valid, your aspirations worthy of pursuit. Finding your voice can be a daunting task, especially after years of silence. It takes courage to speak your truth, to challenge the status quo, to prioritize your own well-being. But the rewards are immeasurable. Start small, take a class, join a group, reconnect with an old friend. Find something that brings you joy, that reminds you of the woman you are, the woman you aspire to be. The world needs your voice. Don't be afraid to use it. If you resonate with Sarah's story, know that there is help available. Reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist. There are organizations dedicated to supporting women struggling with similar challenges. Remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It takes courage to acknowledge your struggles and to ask for support. You deserve to live a life filled with joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Don't let fear silence your dreams. Take that first step, however small it may seem. You are worthy of love, happiness, and a life that reflects your true self. The journey may be long, and there will be bumps along the way. But with each step you take towards finding your voice, you reclaim your power, your identity, and your right to live a life that is authentically yours. You are not alone.